Welcome to the Data Masterclass podcast, where data leaders share their unique stories. In this episode, we talked with Dr. Patrick Grohmann, who is the Senior Manager for Analytics and Data Science at Deutsche Bahn, Germany's largest railway company. We talked about the crucial role of community building for making your data strategy work. Let's welcome your hosts, Alex Borek and Alexei Plotnikovs.
Hello, my data friends. Welcome to the next episode of the Data Masterclass podcast. I'm joined here by Patrick from Deutsche Bahn. He's actually running the procurement analytics team there. And Alexei, for the first time from our Data Masterclass team, is with us today. And we're going to have a very exciting episode for you on a topic that is actually close to my heart. It's the role of the community actually for making your data strategy work. Maybe a key question is, what's more important? Is it the strategy or is it the community that you build around it? That topic we're going to explore today with Patrick. He made some good moves on that topic inside his company, the German railway, Deutsche Bahn. Welcome to the show, Patrick.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Alexei. Thanks for having me.
So, Patrick, tell us, procurement at Deutsche Bahn, what is it? What are you guys doing?
Well, central procurement, I must add, is a department of roughly 1,200 people at Deutsche Bahn buying everything Deutsche Bahn needs. Could be, of course, trains, parts for trains, could be entire stations, tunnels, tracks, services like consulting, cleaning, security, toilet paper, clothing for our employees, pencils, furniture, everything. And it amounts to more than 25 billion a year. That's how much spend we have.
Oh, that's a lot of spend.
Central procurement Deutsche Bahn is organized in basically 4 units. One is everything related to infrastructure. I already mentioned a lot of it, like tunnels, tracks, so on and so forth, bridges. Another department, of course, we need trains, so we buy trains and parts for the trains. And then there's a third department that buys everything else, like from these are the pencils and the toilet papers and the laptops and everything else. And then we have a fourth department where I'm located, and that's the governance department on one side, and it also has a services role, especially IT services. And this is where we are located as the central data team.
So tell us, what's your role in all of this? Like, I guess you're not buying tunnels.
No, not at all. But, well, I came to Deutsche Bahn almost 7 years ago, and it was my job from the get-go to develop big data and analytics for procurement at Deutsche Bahn. So make better use of data, make better decisions, improve processes based on insights generated from data analyses. So that's basically my job. Very fortunate to have the central team and also to foster and build the data and analytics community here at Deutsche Bahn Procurement.
So tell me, what are you using the data for, at procurement? You're buying all this stuff at procurement, but what is the role of the data there?
It's different things. Like, first of all, we're looking at our processes. We try to be as efficient as possible procuring stuff, right? So that's one thing. How long does it take for something to be bought once someone approached us with a need to buy something? How long does it take, for example? The other thing is, of course, we need to know the market. We need to know our suppliers. Sometimes we have to develop suppliers. And of course, we need to generate competition, because the more competition, the better prices we get. We have to design tenders. We use data to design tenders. We use data to negotiate. We use data to manage risks. So these are just some examples. And to be more specific, something I've talked about in other occasions, on other occasions as well, is, for example, we use data to negotiate optimal price scales in our contracts, for example. We use data to see how much business does a particular supplier have with Deutsche Bahn. Because Deutsche Bahn consists of a lot of companies. You have the holding where I'm located, and then many other companies. So how much business do they do? You need a central perspective in order to find synergies and just bundling potentials, for example. So these are just to name a few examples.
And you started with roughly 6 years ago with a central team and central approach. Tell us a bit, how did you get started and what were the first steps?
Well, back then, we were still using SAP Business Warehouse for standard reporting, like gold layer data and reports. And that was pretty much it. We had a process mining tool as well, which kind of gave us a glimpse of what it could mean to connect various data sources and get insights into those. And then we decided, okay, we want to do more with data. And first thing we did was we got everybody involved from the company, not just the holding, but entire Deutsche Bahn. And we tried to get people on board. We found kind of a working group to generate ideas on how to use data for what kind of use cases, came up with a lot of promising ideas, and then we narrowed it down to a couple, like 3 to 5. We identified use cases and we came to a point where we needed technology, and then we just built technology, right? A platform, just a real small one, AWS Universe, basically with a couple open source components. And then we started implementing use cases. As a central team, our main focus was at first on developing data products in the form of dashboards to help our buyers do a better job. So that was what we did at first. And this took a while. This was like the first 2 years, I'd say. Coming up with ideas, building a platform that serves our purposes, and coming up with first data products to gain traction and to convince people that's worth continuing this path. That's what we did at first. And then we realized that's one way to provide value to the company from data, providing data products and dashboards as a central team. But giving this structure of central procurement, right, this division in 4 parts, we have data experts and data analysts in every single one of these parts, which had great potential for building a community, forming a community, because I personally came to realize in our particular circumstances, of course, we can provide value by providing central products, but I thought there must be even more value when you enable other data experts in the decentralized structure to implement their analyses and dashboards and products they need, because every department has quite a specific business model and needs stuff to be tailored to their needs. So we had great potential for a hub and spoke organizational model, and that's what we then realized, and we shifted our focus more from first providing those centralized data products to providing a platform and enabling others to use our stuff, basically. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And you probably also became a bottleneck. Maybe that's
Yeah. Yes, we did. Well, I think, first of all, every central, no matter how you cut it, every central team will to some degree be a bottleneck. And that's, if it's done well, it's not a bug, it's a feature, because sometimes you need to slow down in order to standardize, to look at things across the entire spectrum and see where you can set standards for useful synergies. So being a bottleneck is okay to some degree. When we first started changing our perspective, it became clear that we were a bottleneck. Okay, let me just be real clear. Of course, decentralized teams have stuff they need us to realize if they want to use our platform, if they need the data we provide, they have their specific perspective, they have requirements, and they all address these requirements at our team. Okay. And being a small team, it takes a while to follow up on their requirements and deliver. Good or not so good, depending on how you see it. So that's what happened. And I guess there was
a very interesting twist, because the decentral team sent the nicest person they could find to deliver that message to you. Is that right? And give you also a list of...
We quickly became aware that we have quite a powerful community with lots of potential experts in their field, procurement wise in every department, and also being able to handle data and analyze data really well. Having the necessary skills in terms of SQL, Python, technical skills we need. But maybe because for historic reasons, I don't know, it's probably before my time, people were hesitant to share information and knowledge, and frustration, I guess, grew over time. Although at the same time, it was also, as they later told me, they could see improvements, gradual improvements. And what they did then, and this was a very important step, was decentralized teams sort of got together in a workshop and collected things they would like to address to us to have us improve upon. Could be procedural, could be information-wise, could be technically. And they collected all these things without me knowing, actually.
A big wish list.
Yeah, kind of a wish list. Yeah, definitely. So, and what then happened is they chose someone, if you're seeing this, you know who you are, and who was the messenger, who delivered the message to me, actually. Okay, this is what we did. We think things improved in the last couple of months, and we're thankful for it. But and also, that being said, we'd like to have you improve on this and that.
This long list, and they handed over that list to you, or how did they do it? Or did
that came later. First of all, they talked to me and said there is a list. I was like, okay, well, great, thanks for letting me know. And then they, of course, the thing is, I guess one of the core themes of our conversation will be trust. At some point, we'll get there, and it starts actually right there at this point. First of all, it's my assumption they thought, okay, Patrick kind of can be trusted to be addressed with these issues, and we can just go talk to him. He will listen. That was true. Right assumption, because I definitely listened. Second of all, the way I was approached by this person was just very diplomatic, very nice. And with us being adults, of course, we just could talk about issues, right? So they addressed the issues, I listened, and then we thought, okay,
just a quick check. So the community as such wasn't mentioned on the list.
Well, it came from the community. That was sort of an inherent thought that we're in this together and we want to improve together and we need each other. That was clear from the get-go. The question is, once that's been established and this wish list was made public or addressed to us, how do you proceed from there? And there's always, I guess, there can be a reflex to kind of defend yourself and explain why things are not the way they are or they should be, or no, why things are not the way they should be, right? That's just human. I think we didn't do that. We just listened and said, okay, yeah, everything makes sense. We're not sure we can help you with everything, but let's talk about it and let's take one issue at a time. It just makes a difference if you talk to people face to face in the right circumstances, or if you just drop emails or chat messages. It's just different. That's why we're humans. It's just different. It helps. The real connection helps. So we decided, okay, one issue on the list was, if I remember correctly, I'm not sure. It was either on the list or it came in discussions later that it would be tremendously beneficial to meet in person and all of us meet in person, get to know each other and just spend time together. And working in this large corporation for a while, and I realized that it's indeed all about trust. If you want to go places, you need to trust each other.
And, I love that kind of story and of the person bringing over the message of that there is a list of things and sharing that list with you. And the reason for that is because for high-performance teams, it's so important to have that candor and being able to share hard messages in a respectful way. And I think that was done very respectfully, because that's the part of trust, is also to talk about issues that are there. So that's absolutely great that happened. I think that was probably a key milestone in that community shaping. But now I'm very curious, what were the other things on that list?
Yeah, it was a wide spectrum, I guess. One is information in terms of documentation. The community was asking for sort of a place where everything is documented, where they can read up on data available, on how to use the platform, for example, just to name a few examples. They were also interested in knowing, okay, how do you guys prioritize your to-dos actually? Because when someone from a business unit sends a request, of course, they are well aware of the fact that we have a lot of our table because requests from different units reach us, but they were interested in, okay, now how do you plan your stuff? What's coming in next year? What are you trying to tackle? Transparency issues, just transparency issues. What else? Well, technically, there were wishes in terms of data, how often data is updated, or regarding the platform, for example, some were interested in a better data science environment. So technical support to do better data science. So these are just a few examples.
And what did you do then? What were your steps? How did you tackle this?
Well, first of all, I realized that it's highly beneficial to trust each other. I mean, I realized that before, but I didn't know the extent, the importance of trust in working with each other. I think trust is the most important thing. Trust among people. Technology, if you have great technology, great products, and they convince by the way they can be used and their features and everything, that's nice. But it's as long as people are working in a company and as long as people need to collaborate, trust is important, especially if you work in a hub and spoke model where you have a central team. And we have the goal to set standards where they make sense and give as much freedom as possible. But in order for that to happen, we need to know what's going on in the different units. And of course, they need to know what we're thinking about. So it's transparency. That's important. So we have to go. In order to achieve that, we can't just tell them, here's how you are going to go about things. We don't have that authority. And even if we had, I don't think that's a good way. Some companies may work that way, just command and sometimes control afterwards. But I don't think that works because power is always something given to you by people listening to you. They decide if they want to listen or they don't, no matter what the arrangement is. That's what I'm convinced of. So I decided, okay, trust is really important. How can we foster trust? We need to come together. And first thing we did is we had a 2-day community event, which is now 1.5 years ago. And that was a major success. So what we did is we had people working all over Germany and we got everyone together. Not just people working for Deutsche Bahn, also some consultants that work with us. We had them all come together and just build trust. And we did that by having 2 days. In the first day, we spent the first half of the first day, or even more than that, just building trust by getting to know each other. So for example, we split up into groups of 3 and had people find similarities, shared interests, or rather shared interests between people. And so this could be professional, but it could also be private, and typically it was private. And then we had just giving all groups afterwards, we all came together and everyone just gave a little glimpse of what they identified as shared interests. And that's important, not for building the best data products, but to knowing people and knowing how to approach them and just feeling more connection. I now know who likes Bud Spencer. I know who loves to travel. I know who loves to read books. I know who likes to watch what kind of TV series. And I also know the 3 dudes who go to the gym on a regular basis, but only do upper body. So that's important to know these kind of details, because that allows you to connect to people it allows you, and that's one more thing, it allows you to feel connection as well, because it's not about knowing things and then planning on what to say and being very controlled and deliberate in what you say. It's really about, okay, yeah, I like this too. Yeah, I like Bud Spencer as well. I had a blast when I watched it a couple of years ago. Yeah, sure, let's talk about it. And that's good. So that's the first thing we did. The other thing is we talked about what are they hoping to get out of the community. And that's also important. What are they hoping to get out of the community? What are they willing to put into the community? What do they bring to the table? And we talked about that. So that was like, yeah, of course, I want support. I want transparency. I want to learn something. I want to feel understood. These kind of things. And then very technical things, of course, like we need this central platform, not just in terms of dealing with data, but where I can read up on everything that's happening or where documentation is. I want to work together on projects. That's all that came up. Some was tangible, some was intangible. And then we finished the first day with two things. First of all, we had a knowledge sharing sessions where people just gave a glimpse of their work in terms of supplier management or specific use cases they were working on. And then we finished it with a nice evening dinner, and we had a pretty good time there. So that was the first day. And second day, just real quick, was more in terms of real work, I'd say. We had a keynote from someone outside of the company that was kind of inspiring. And then we broke up into we had several bar camps. And so now we were talking about like particular things on how to best work with our platform, but also coming up with more formats in our community, ways of create transparency and update each other. We're talking about data strategy, prioritization, and some other particular projects. And we collected these results, and after like 2 days, we went for the time being our separate ways, but connected real fast afterwards. And that was a community event, and that was a pivotal moment, I'd say. That's it. I could elaborate more on what I did or what we did continue to do to foster this trust. I think there are still some more important things, but if you have any questions in the meantime.
Super nice story. The question which I still have, so you came as a bottleneck, and 2 days later, you are kind of trusted and highly informed and transparent, and still bottleneck. So what happens truly to move beyond that bottleneck without that lovely and trusted community environment?
I think, first of all, before you address the bottleneck question, you still need to work on transparency, and you need to be able to create a framework that allows you to create that transparency. For example, we decided to have regular meetings on a decision maker level where we just update each other every 4 weeks on what's going on, what we're thinking about currently. That has not been there before. That's just one simple way, but it's crucial. The other way is we decided to have other means of communication, like in our terms, we work with Microsoft Teams. We had a team place and set up different communication channels, and people could just chat real quick and reach us, and we could reach them when we have a question or there's an issue that needs to be solved. That wasn't there before. It sounds so easy, but for some reason we didn't have it, and we set it up real quick. And then later on, we set up different formats. We have like 2 30-minute meetings each week. One is just a sync meeting where we update each other. Everyone's invited. Very specific formats. Sometimes it only takes 10 to 15 minutes. Sometimes the check-in part is the largest one. Also a lot of fun. You learn a lot about people. We have a check-in question every single time. Last week we just had the question. This week we had the question, okay, what's your first childhood memory? Like these kind of things. Or the craziest one I ever had was also yesterday was, if you would be a door, what kind of door would you be? Like a revolving door, a sliding door, whatever, and why? So that's, it sounds so kind of silly, but it is, I promise you, it's so important because you get to know the people and what they're thinking about, what they're feeling, what's important to them. Because, if I get to think about what kind of door I am, I come up with an explanation for it, and then you learn something about me. So that's what we did. We had more transparency.
I mean, you clearly with that, and it was more than a one-hit wonder. You made that community come together over and over again, work together, and that built a trust. My question would be, what did that trust actually allow you to do that would have not been possible beforehand?
Yeah. Several things. First of all, my goal was always to provide as much value to DB's procurement as possible. And as a consequence, value to Deutsche Bahn as a whole. So, and once I came to the conclusion that it's even more valuable to act as an enabler for an analytics community and not just provide data products on our own. I got to understand, okay, I need to enable them. That's important. I need to know what they're looking for, what they need. And that was one particular benefit we had just from talking to each other in transparency, getting to understand each other better. Okay, so we could develop our platform in a better way. We got to include more data sources that are more relevant to them. We got to improve things on the documentation side and so on and so forth. That's what we did, but all is coming together and talking to each other enabled this basically. But that's not it. The hat I have on is to provide value for procurement as a whole. And so I am always interested in improving the use of data. And now we come to data strategy, basically. After a while, we realized, of course, and I guess that's something that happens to a lot of data initiatives, we realized, okay, we have an issue with data quality here and there. And this came more and more apparent because when you develop use cases, there are things that don't work for data quality reasons. And so what we did is we decided, okay, we need to tackle this. Or I actually decided I'd like to take a look at it. And of course, everyone who's working with data says, yeah, please do something about it. That would be great. Okay. So we decided, okay, we need to have sort of an inventory. We need to know what's going on right now and how we contribute to our business and where a lack of data quality hinders that contribution. So we started quite a big initiative, I'd say, just a couple months ago, where we decided, okay, we want to know where we do contribute to business strategy well, where we do not contribute enough, what are the most important data sources we currently have, why are they important in terms of business strategy contribution, and what kind of data quality problems can we observe. So once we have that inventory, we can prioritize which issues to tackle first. Now, having a department with 1,200 people and 4 major subdepartments, lots of actors and stakeholders, gathering that information is a challenge, actually, right?
And I guess this is where the community came in. Is that right?
That's exactly where it came in, because having built that trust, I introduced this idea to them that I would like to go into this process where we do this inventory and we ask ourselves, what kind of data products do we have? We focused on dashboards, first of all, because these are the most salient, people have lots of end users, people know what they're talking about. So what kind of data products in terms of dashboards do we have? How relevant are these data products, these dashboards for our business strategy? We have a procurement strategy with several pillars. How do they contribute to each pillar? Do they contribute at all? What data sources are important for these dashboards? And what data quality problems do we observe in generating these dashboards? So we wanted them, first of all, I got to introduce the idea to them. They thought, okay, they gave me pretty good feedback. Okay, let's do this. Some were more hesitant than others, but all agreed. And that was good. So, and then we said, okay, I'd like to do some workshops with you, with each one of you, probably 2 workshops, maybe 3. And so that's, again, another investment of time. They have to put in work. And I need you to prepare these workshops.
And it was major. It was major preparation, actually. Is that right? Because you wanted them to do all the pre-work.
Yeah, we had 2 workshops. One was just, we made a list of all the dashboards we have on our server. And we asked them to prioritize their dashboards because everyone owns dashboards of these spokes in our hub and spoke model. And of course, we as the hub own dashboards as well. And we wanted them to prioritize the dashboards. First of all, think about what are really the important data products or dashboards? And then please, we gave them a template, please describe these dashboards to us. What's their purpose? What kind of decisions do they foster? What kind of data sources do they need? What are the most important data objects? So that was, if you have 30 dashboards in your organization or in your responsibility, that's quite a lot of work to fill out this template and to think about it. And then we asked them to, in a workshop, explain that to us, or rather, of course, they didn't have to explain to us what they already wrote, but we asked questions to clarify even further. And then we asked them to tell us how relevant these dashboards are for the different strategic pillars of our business strategy. That was more of a qualitative assessment. So we asked them for a scale between 0 and 4, 0 not relevant at all, 4 really, 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 really relevant. And we went through all these dashboards and recorded this relevance score. And then we, took all that information and identified the data sources that are relevant. And then in a second, that's it, right? So data sources. Then we asked them, that was another preparation step. And for the first workshop, we asked them to list all data quality problems they came across in developing their workshops. And they also had a template, right?
For these most important data sets, yeah? So basically, you had the most
Exactly,
important dashboards. You had in the first workshop also identified which data sources are most critical for those most important ones. And only for these, you had deep dived, where do we have data quality issues that are hindering us? And how are they impacting us?
Yes. And we thought that would be a good approach, kind of reasonable approach, because you can try to look at everything, like every data quality issue out there, but then you somehow need to be able to decide, okay, what to tackle first. So that's why we started with the business strategy first, and contributing dashboards and contributing data sources and so forth. And so they had to fill out this template or we asked them to fill out this template of data quality issues they came across with several questions, and they did so. And then again, we had another workshop asking them particular questions and rating the relevance of this data quality problem to the corresponding dashboards. And that enabled us to some sort of create a value chain, if you will. In the end, come up with an inventory, a list of most important dashboards in terms of business strategy, most important data sources in terms of business strategy, because you can have that link through the dashboards to the business strategy, and of course, most relevant data quality problems. And we're at this point right now, so it's still something, it's still a process. We're still working on it. We have this overview right now. And now let's circle back to trust. How did building trust before that help? Something I'm incredibly proud of is that we had this issue where I asked the spokes of our community to work with us on that. And we had particularly one spoke where their management was kind of hesitant, was thinking like, whoa, that's really a lot of work. What do we get out of it? Is it really worth it? And what do these people in the central department, central team really do with this information? Are they probably using it against us? I mean, there are all kinds of ideas that you can come up with that I can definitely relate with if you are in this spoke position. And the great thing was that the leader of that spoke advocated to their management that this is a useful initiative. And they even said, we don't quite know where this is heading, but we really do think it's useful and we trust the people involved and we should do this. And so they did. That was the final, if I've ever needed another nudge to be convinced that trust is crucial, this was it.
Amazing. So very quickly, what would be like your key learnings or key messages, for our leaders?
First of all, you probably guessed it by now. It's trust is everything. It's a people business. Unless you're one person company and you're only having AI agents, that might be the case real soon. I don't know. But as of right now, trust is crucial. So prioritize that before you prioritize technology and processes and what have you. Build connection. That's the most important thing, being human centric. In order to do that, stay true to your word, be true to your word, be vulnerable, say when you don't know, say when you're overwhelmed because of complexity, yet. You can always say yet, I don't know yet, but say it when you don't know. So that's important. Trust. That's one thing. The other thing is probably, I think it makes a lot of sense to come up with such inventory, to have this inventory of what's going on right now, and then add to it like future perspectives. For example, right now, we can't just come up with a data strategy. We have to come up with a data and AI strategy, because AI is so prevalent right now, and has become so powerful, and will become even more powerful. You have to look at that, right? So, but this inventory helps a lot in terms of if you're not starting from scratch and you have a lot of historically developed stuff going on, you need to know what's going on first. That's important. Trust, inventory, community, vulnerability, and you will not solve. I guess technology is nice, and that's just me from my own experience. It doesn't hold true in all circumstances. I'm very well aware of that. But start with people. If you don't have trust, you're not going to go anywhere.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Patrick, for being with us today on our podcast, and also to be such a great member of our Data Masterclass community.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a great conversation about trust, community, and what it can actually generate once you have it.
Yeah, people and data as well.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being with us, Patrick.
Yeah, you're welcome.